Nice, man. That is cool.
On that shovel in your hands, yeah. I might hit a rock and you'll know where you stand.
All right. Welcome to today's episode of In Search of Songwriters
And Cereal.
I'm Trustin.
And I'm Jake.
And we've got the good fortune today to be with singer-songwriter Lyal Strickland. Appreciate visiting with you.
Welcome to the show, Lyle.
Good to see you.
I say singer-songwriter. You're also own some farmland. You raise beef cattle.
Yeah.
We're recording today in a storefront that you manage and own, Maple and Main. And so you wear a lot of different hats. How do you manage all that?
Well, that's why we opened a coffee house. I could keep myself up at night working on the other places. No, it keeps me busy, but it's fun.
I would imagine it keeps you plenty busy. This coffee shop, Maple and Main, besides I've dined here. It's great for anybody out there that wants to make a day trip. The beverages and the food are fantastic here, but you also, along with your mom, and you've got some sponsors, a couple of them right next door to you. Mm-hmm. You guys host a concert series here called The Old Home Place.
Yeah,
I've got to get Jake here sometime.
Yeah, so for people who haven't ever been to a concert here, can you tell us a little about what happens once a month and how that came about?
Yeah, so we do a concert series on the second Thursday of every month, and it's a little different in that we specifically don't book local or regional acts, which is not a diss to them. It's just that from my time out on the road, it's so hard to find a decent gig during a weekday.
This is like heaven for traveling songwriters to have a place to play.
Yeah, so I try to keep it to people that I've bumped into on the road, and we do it on Thursday, so they've still got the weekend to hit one of the bigger cities and make a little more cash. But it makes a good stop through place for them. And
not only that, you brought in some really talented players who
I've been lucky enough to rub elbows with some really talented folks, and then they're gracious enough to come by.
A lot of times after playing here, they might head to Kansas City or St. Louis or Oklahoma for their next gig, or Springfield. It's a great stopping ground.
Yeah, most of them are. In fact, I think all of them are at least nationally touring, but quite a few of them are internationally touring. And we've had some Grammy-nominated people and CMA-nominated people. There's just a whole list of people.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Well, I want to delve into your music a little bit. Specifically the last two albums that you put out, Balanced on Barbed Wire, which I think was around 2012 release, and then more recently Preservation, which I think you released in 2016. But on Balanced on Barbed Wire, the songs themselves speak to the financial hardships of farming, the joys and challenges of small town life, and how small town landscape has changed through the years. Also some relationships and even the loss of some friends. And I was going to ask you about the making of that album and how you relate to it personally.
Well, I'm starting to relate to it quite a bit more again, as we're kind of in the same kind of level of drought that we were when I wrote most of those songs.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of them, not most of them, all of them still ring real true to myself. It is hard to hold on to something that is slipping away a little bit, but you've got your heart in the right place. You just hang on.
Yeah.
So
you record that, I believe, co-produced by, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff Smith at Springfield Studio 2100 in Springfield.
Magic Man.
Yeah. and a lot of winning local musicians. The late Lou Whitney, Mark Cassidy. You also had Ozark Mountain Daredevil members Steve Cash, John Dillon, Dave Painter. So a lot of great musicians playing on that.
Yeah, it was. That's kind of the one thing I've had an advantage of. I think playing solo for so many years. When you get into a studio, you can kind of, if you're playing with a band, you kind of got to deal with egos of using the guys in the band.
Right.
But solo guys, I just got to pick all the people I listen to myself, put together my fantasy band.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job on that one.
Well, thanks, man.
And talking about your latest release, Preservation, I wanted to use a quote of yours from your website that I drew off. as you talked about the album, and this is what you said. Overall, I'd say I was in more of a raw state this time around, and was open to writing about things that cut a little deeper. I know there's a lot of different topics you cover. One of those, song Way Back Home, which is about your grandma and her battle with dementia, which I know a lot of people deal with that, a lot of families. But I thought I might just ask you about, that choice of songs and so forth.
Yeah, I wrote most of that album in about 2 weeks or so, which I hadn't done before. Usually it's more of a consistent, constant writing thing. But
so you put it together pretty quick.
Yeah, they just kind of, I kind of started writing this way after preservation, where you kind of bottle stuff up and let stuff kind of sit in a crock pot in your mind for 6 months or so, and then when it's right and ready, and it just kind of flows out and falls out of your mouth.
The best way to write songs when it flows like that.
Yeah, and it's I don't do too much editing for the most part. It's what goes down on paper is pretty much the final thing, with the exception of maybe some arrangement stuff in the studio. So it was that one was definitely raw, because it was there was a lot of songs on there that were shorter that I could have kept going on, but I felt like it was enough had been said, and you just kind of leave it hanging.
Lyrically, they're both outstanding, and from my listening, musically also on this, you've kind of got in comparison maybe to Balanced on Barbed Wire, it might be a little more minimal musically, but the quality of musicianship certainly doesn't suffer. And you even got Robbie Turner, legendary pedal steel guitar out of Nashville. He's worked with Chris Stapleton, Waylon Jennings, the Dixie Chicks, Sturgill Simpson. How did the process of picking musicians on this one?
Well, him in particular was kind of a funny one, because I knew on this one I wanted to have a cohesive set of guys that played on every song. Where Balancing Barbed Wire, people were bouncing all over the place. I wanted the same musicians on every song, so it'd be a sort of a string running through the whole album, because the songs are fairly different. There's a couple of real rocky ones and a poppy one, and then like real super acoustic laid back stuff. And I thought that would kind of tie it all together. And I was looking for a pedal steel player to really put that ribbon through all of it. My mom.
So you just went right to the top of the chart.
Well, my mom calls me one day. She goes, "I know you're looking for a pedal steel player, and I just, this guy just added me on Facebook, and I know him back from my radio days, and I think he plays pedal steel, but I don't know if he's any good or not. Do you want me?" She knew he was good. She was tugging my chain. Oh yeah, I think Robbie's okay.
That might work.
But it was incredible to watch him work. He all of that steel stuff is pretty much the first take, and I just let him do his thing. And
you don't give direction to guys like that. They know what they're doing.
It was just beautiful to watch him feel it. You
mentioned your mom, radio days. A lot of people don't know that she was big time radio back a few years ago, Memphis area and so forth.
Back in the 70s and early 80s. She was quite the deal.
I've seen a few things she's posted, picture next to Willie Nelson and Charlie Pride, and not everybody gets those opportunities. So, and with Robbie Turner, I mentioned 3 or 4 names, but he's worked with literally hundreds of top names. He's the guy there.
And Orrin Thornton as well. He's worked with a load of Red Dirt people and Nashville people.
Good songwriter himself, and Nashville session player, Springfield session player.
I was really pleased with the group of boys on that record.
You definitely made some good selections there. Well, we've talked about the Balanced on Barbed Wire and preservation. What do you have in the works now? I know recently you opened for Dwight Yoakam at the Boys Theater in Springfield. Any other gigs or music projects coming up?
I got a few shows, more high-profile shows. One of which is opening for the Ozark Mountain Daredevils down at Shepherd of the Hills. That'll be a fun one. Full band show on that.
And they just released a new album too.
Yeah, they did.
So it'd be fun to be a part of that.
Absolutely. In a couple weeks I'm going to go. A friend of mine has a little lake cabin on Lake of the Ozarks and was gracious enough to let me stay there for a little bit. So I'm going to truck off and leave the cell phone at home and not tell anyone the address. I'm going to go write some songs. It's been hard with the coffee shop and the farm and playing shows on a regular basis, it's been hard to find time to really sit down and write.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm going to
bet.
go away for a couple weeks and
Yeah.
see if I can't
Yeah.
reproduce the 2-week run of preservation. We'll see.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for people who are wanting to purchase an album or merchandise,
Yeah.
where can they go? Do they have a website or something?
Yeah, LyalStrickland.com, Lyal, and then Facebook and Instagram stuff. Always get a hold of me there. And
Awesome.
you know, if you can't find it on the website, send me a message. I'll mail one out.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good deal. I noticed the T-shirt you got hanging in the background. I actually have that one. That's a great design.
Thanks, man.
Well, listen. Before we close, we were hoping maybe you might play a song for us. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Before you do, though, Jake's got a little something we want to present to you. So.
Oh,
Yeah. A little surprise for you. Just stay right here. So go ahead and
We'll just have you lift that off.
yeah. Oh, nice, man. That is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No
Yeah.
problem.
I don't know how to be gracious about looking at myself, but man, I like that.
JakeWilliamsArt.com, right?
That's
there.
actually that's one of my favorite pictures. I think that was from Kansas City at the Plaza Arts Fair a few
Yeah.
years ago. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
no
paint
problem.
this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
Painted that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll set that aside for him, and maybe if you don't
Yeah.
mind doing a song for us, man, we'd be
Yeah,
on.
sure. Absolutely. All right.
$250,000 don't buy that much. Gonna need 100 more to keep my daddy's place up. If 3 years of taxes have gone unpaid and my girl pulls her weight as a hotel maid. I left the farm for a year or two, bought a half education that I never used. Now papers in the desk where I never sit, got a whole new group of associates. But you can't spend your way out of nothing. That's a big hole and you'll never climb out. But if you got a long handle and that shovel in your hands, yeah, I might hit a rock and you'll know where you stand. Piece of glass from the fist last night, but I never really meant it to cause a fight. Now there's sometimes when I lose my mind, and I know when I do that I'm not so kind. I thought about leaving a time or two, but the only good thing I got in this world is you. Now I can get lost and I can be free, but there's no telling what it'll end up costing me. But you can't spend your way out of nothing. That's a big hole and you'll never climb out. But if you got a long handle and that shovel in your hands, yeah, I might hit a rock and you'll know where you stand. $250,000 don't buy that much. Gonna need 100 more to keep my daddy's place up. If 3 years of taxes have gone unpaid and my girl pulls her weight as a hotel maid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, man.
Well, again, Lyle, we really appreciate you inviting us into your hometown here and getting to film here in this wonderful facility. And
Yeah.
but I got one more very important question to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite cereal?
I'll have to go with some homemade granola every time.
All right.
All right.
You care if we have some cereal together?
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Good deal.
This is great. Can't beat an interview with cereal at the end. Frosted Flakes.
You see, when I was little, my mom had a number that I had to stay under in terms of grams of sugar per serving.
That limited you quite a bit there.
My choices were grape nuts, Nutri-Grain cereal, or I think there was one more. But I remember even the plain Cheerios had too much sugar. It was basically like,
Oh, wow.
you know,
Well,
Childhood.
I got a lot of fiber as a kid.
That for you.
if it's any consolation, I'm a type 2 diabetic and I love Frosted Flakes forever, so.
I used to absolutely like, you can go on vacation or something, and they would have those like horrible hotel breakfasts, you know, but they always had like Fruit Loops or Frosted Flakes or something like that. You know, I would just eat like bowls and bowls and bowls. What is this? What is this culinary gold?
Making up for lost time.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any idea what your next, like, title of your next album is going to be, the one you're writing about?
No,
Or do you think of that first, or do you wait till the end?
I always wait till the end. Usually it's a line or a play on a line or